Evelyn is releasing really soon in Zenless Zone Zero, and we were actually able to test her out during the version 1.5 special episode quest. From that, I can see that she has a really interesting kit, and she should be a pretty strong DPS option for a lot of players. So today, we're going to go over Evelyn's full kit and overall value to see whether or not you should pull for her on your account. So to start out with her kit here, I normally like to start out with the core passive for characters, but it makes more sense to talk about Evelyn's core passive once we've gone over more of her kit, so we're going to save that for later. So let's start out here with the additional ability, and her condition to activate this is by having an ally who is either a stun character or support character on the team, which is really nice because you are able to run multiple types of characters with her, so she's not as restricted. And if you have this additional ability active, Evelyn is going to get 30% extra damage on her chain attack and ultimate, and if her crit rate is 80% or more, she's going to get a 125% damage multiplier increase for her chain attack and ultimate. So you definitely want to aim to give her a good amount of crit rate so you can hit that 80%, but we'll talk more about ways she gets crit rate as we get more into her kit here. Then for her basic attack, there are two sections to this that we're going to talk about here. The first one is just how her basic attack works, which is that it's a 5-hit combo, and the 5th hit of the basic attack will create a kind of tether between Evelyn and the main target, and that's going to have them enter the binding seal state. Then the other part of her basic attack is talking about her passive called Bind, and this outlines her two main resource gauges because Evelyn does have two unique resources that she uses for her kit. So the first one are her Burning Embers, and these are accumulated whenever Evelyn deals damage to enemies with any of her attacks. And if you have 50% of the Burning Embers gauge filled, you can consume it to do an enhanced basic attack. And if you have an additional 50%, so if you have the full Burning Embers bar, you can actually do a follow-up after the enhanced basic attack as well for even more damage. Then Evelyn's second resource are her Burning Tether points. She can hold up to 3 at a time, and she will gain 1 burning tether point every time she uses that enhanced basic attack or her ultimate. And if Evelyn has 3 burning tether points, the next time she uses that enhanced basic attack, instead of doing the enhanced basic, she's going to do a chain attack instead, which since she has some pretty solid scaling, especially from that additional ability, this chain attack is actually going to be very strong. Then for Evelyn's special attack, it has 2 different effects depending on whether or not Evelyn is in the Binding Seal state. So if Binding Seal is not active, this attack will just put the enemy into the Binding Seal state. But if Binding Seal is active, the special is going to focus on the enemy with Binding Seal. And when activating the special, it's going to not only have the tether that's already there on the enemy, but it's also going to tether surrounding enemies with the same Binding Seal. And she'll do an attack that will make the tethers to all those enemies explode and deal damage to them. You also do have the option of canceling the detonation into the 3rd hit of Evelyn's basic attack so that you can just continue and kind of have like a combo loop with her, which can also be interesting as well. Plus, also as an added bonus, when Evelyn does her attack towards all of the tethered enemies, she will do a dodge. And if an enemy attacks during that and you actually trigger a perfect dodge, you're going to be able to recover 25% of her Burning Embers gauge, which can be a really nice thing to do if you want to get up to that 100% to do her enhanced basic plus the follow-up as well. Then for her EX special, it does have pretty much the exact same effect as the special attack if the Binding Seal is active, but you can only use her EX special with the Binding Seal active. And the only real benefit over using the EX special, which is a pretty big one considering she is a DPS, the damage multiplier is significantly higher on her EX special, so you do want to focus on that if you want Evelyn to do as much damage as possible. Then for Evelyn's chain attack, it is just like a strong attack that will also enter the Binding Seal state with the main target that is hit. And for Evelyn's ultimate, it is just a pretty big attack that will also give her 1 burning tether point, and upon using the ultimate, Evelyn is going to enter the Dance of Awakened Fire state. This state is active permanently from the first time you use your ultimate for the rest of the battle, and whenever in the Dance of Awakened Fire state, whenever she consumes burning tether points to convert her enhanced basic attack to a chain attack, Instead of using up all 3 points, she will be able to retain 1 burning tether point, meaning that you're going to be able to get that chain attack a lot more consistently, which is going to be really good because it is a pretty strong attack for her. And generally through the chain, since chain and ultimate do scale together, plus with her additional ability as well, this is going to be a very powerful ability for her. Then finally, for her core passive, whenever Binding Seal is active, Evelyn will have a 23% crit rate buff, and upon Binding Seal ending, she will actually retain the buff for an additional 10 seconds, meaning that if you're able to get Binding Seal up again after Binding Seal is destroyed, then you'll be able to pretty much have this buff up almost all the time. And if Evelyn switches to another character while Binding Seal is active, she's going to do a follow-up with her special attack before the switch actually happens, which will detonate the Binding Seal. So that is Evelyn's kit. So now let's talk about her overall value and whether or not you should be pulling for her on your account. So I think Evelyn is going to be a pretty strong DPS character, but she's not going to be game breaking like Miyabi. And I think the way that Zenless Zone Zero is kind of going, I don't think that many DPS characters are going to be as big of a power jump as Miyabi has been. Of course, it's a gacha game, so you can expect characters to get stronger as the game goes on, but I don't think it's going to be at the same level or even near the same level as Miyabi. And I do also like what they've done with both Astra and Evelyn, making their additional abilities allow for more versatile team building, because Evelyn is going to work with any either stun or support character, so you are going to have some very solid, team comps with her, and also depending on what you have on your account, you do have a lot of options. I do think, obviously, I haven't tested out teams for her that much because I don't have access to private server or anything, or like the early experience server, but based on her kit and what I do think her best team will likely be with Astra, Yao, and Lighter, but plenty of other options will work. I think she can work pretty well with any of the support characters, and she can also work well with any stunners as well. So I think that when it comes to whether or not you should pull for Evelyn, I think that if you need another strong DPS character, or if your account is lacking some good fire coverage, I think that Evelyn would be a really good character for you to pull for. But if you already have some strong team setup and you have enough fire coverage, like if you have Bernice, if you have Lighter, if you are using Soldier 11, then she may not be super necessary. She is going to be better than Soldier 11 if you're comparing the two directly, but I also don't think it's super necessary to pull her, because it's not like Soldier 11 can't clear all the content. So overall, I think Evelyn's going to be a pretty great character, but I think for a lot of players, she may not be necessary, especially since I'm sure a lot of people have Bernice or Fire, and they probably won't need to have 2 Fire DPS characters, or 2 Fire characters that can just deal a good amount of damage and have a good amount of field presence. But I definitely think that she is still going to be good regardless. So that is overall my thoughts for Evelyn. Let me know down in the comments below if you are going to be pulling for her. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed and want to see more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But with that, everyone, I will see you all next time.